Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, broadcasting live from the Firefly Funhouse.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture, broadcasting live from the Boneyard, maybe? Coming up today, I'm going to tell you how Piledrivers could be coming back to WWE. I'm going to tell you about the controversial spot that wasn't edited out of Edge versus Randy Orton. And I've got more as well. I'm going to tell you AJ Styles, he wants to rematch with The Undertaker. I'm going to tell you when. And I'm also going to tell you, I'm saying that sentence a lot today, about the WWE legend and Hall of Famer and all-timer that almost appeared at WrestleMania.
Plus, you won't believe what WWE almost included in the Edge versus Randy Orton match that would have made it awesome. The least surprising news ever about Money in the Bank, and the real reason many WWE stars were missing from TV in the build to WrestleMania 36. This is the news.
Piledrivers. We're going to kick things off with Piledrivers. You know what a piledriver is. You're a wrestling fan. Banned in WWE for a long time. There are some exceptions. CM Punk used a couple. The Undertaker does the tombstone all the time. But there's talk now that they might actually be able to slide back under the radar when it comes to banned moves, brother. We've got a new report here from Fightful, the ever-reliable folks at Fightful, who have heard from several WWE wrestlers that certain moves might make it through the approval process if they don't have the word piledriver in the name, because of course calling it something else makes it less dangerous. They're talking here about how Canadian destroyers, which is a variation of the piledriver, have been used by Andrade, Rey Mysterio in their feud. We also saw the Usos do one from the top bloody rope last month, so, you know, destroyers are okay. Adam Cole does the Panama Sunrise all the goddamn time. Fightful did reach out for an answer to WWE as to why this may have changed, why their policy may have softened somewhat. They didn't get an answer on that. However, there's talk that Kevin Owens has been campaigning to have his finisher changed from the stunner or the pop-up powerbomb, whatever he wants to use on any given day, to the package piledriver, which is the move he used to use in Ring of Honor. I think he's at least teased it a couple of times in WWE, and I can't recall if he's ever hit it and so forth. But you know, the piledriver is historically, in kayfabe, one of the most dangerous moves in pro wrestling, you know, lore. It's, in real life as well, the move that shortened Steve Austin's career in that match with Owen Hart. So it's an interesting one for me. I just hope we don't end up in a situation where, say, all piledrivers are approved. The Canadian Destroyer is the most overused move in pro wrestling today. I don't want to see any more of those damn things on WWE television, but hey man, if it means like a dangerous wrestler can pull off, like, you know, a wrestler with a dangerous aura, I don't want anyone getting hurt. If they can pull off like one piledriver every 6 months and it's like, oh my god, that could be really effective, because we haven't seen them in ages.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't want it being used by everyone on the roster if it does get approved. I've got mixed emotions about this. I agree with you, Andy. I think the people who should use them, should merit the reason why they're using them in a feud or in a match or whatever. They should be people who we can trust. It shouldn't just be like, okay, right, next week everyone hits a piledriver just to see if you can do it or not. Whilst I do want to see it back, if you're going to make a list of things that are suddenly now approved again by WWE, how about just normal language? How about just the right way to describe things? Local medical facility, tournaments, you know, stuff that we actually would appreciate as much as I'd love to see the piledriver back.
Yeah, man, like, get rid of championship opportunity. That being said, you know, global ongoing situation. Somebody said, I think it was on Twitter the other day, that phrase, what do we say? The global situation, whatever we say, is that's like our superstars or WWE universe. It's, but you know, that's the situation. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Let human beings talk like human beings. It shouldn't be such a grand revelation, right?
Exactly. Right, let's move on and talk about Edge versus Orton at WrestleMania and some unbelievable revelations coming out from Edge after he appeared on one of the best podcasts after What Culture Wrestling's, Corey Graves' After the Bell podcast. He revealed that they very nearly involved drones in it. I don't know how I feel about that. Actually, I do. It's awesome. Edge said it had to be a fight, and initially I had ideas of drones and going on rooftops. And again, we're filming during, you know, sunlight, so that's not going to work. He later went on to say, let's just go fight, and that's what we did. And for that, I'm very proud. I'm also very proud of the fact that after 9 years off, I could go for 40 minutes. Should he have gone for 40 minutes? No, probably not. But How good would have drones been, Andy Murray?
Drones, man, drones. So what I want to know here, right? Presumably we're not talking about like Vanguard 1 showing up.
Disappointingly, no.
Yeah, crossing over. Imagine if that was one of the first big superstars to cross over from AEW to WWE. It's Vanguard 1, what are you doing here? We saw the drone footage used in the Ciampa Gargano match briefly there when they went up into high spaces and did stuff and acted and things. It would have been cool. It would have looked a little bit different. I get the vibe of wanting to make it look like a tough, gritty, in-your-face fight and so forth, but you know, little production switch up here and there is never a bad thing.
Plus, I have a feeling that if they did have drones, Randy Orton would have probably grabbed it and twatted Edge with it as well.
Oh, that would have been good. Just don't cut him with that little blade. That could be be bad. That could be bad. You're not a knife man, Randy Orton. You are a snake, and snakes can't operate drones. So let's keep talking about that Randy Orton Edge match. Controversial spot in there. I'm obviously talking about the weight machine, right? So Randy Orton strangles Edge with a cable from the weight machine. Now, Fightful Select have a report on this. Dave from Wrestling Observer Radio also has a report on this, talking about, well, why was that spot in the match? Like, why was it here? You know, a lot of people didn't necessarily like that was included. The allusions to Chris Benoit are pretty obvious. I think anyone can draw a line there. But Fightful claim that nobody backstage in WWE raised concerns over the spot, and there were no lines drawn between it and the Benoit situation. Now, it should be noted that because of the ongoing global situation, take a drink, there were fewer people there. So fewer people would have seen this and had the chance to say, maybe we shouldn't include this. Meltzer talked about it on Wrestling Observer Radio. He said that WWE's higher-ups, they had to approve the match. They got sent it before it was given the okay. And again, nobody felt they needed to do this. They needed to edit it out. Now, a couple of things here, right? I think by even mentioning this, somebody in the comment section or somebody listening is going to go, hey, don't be so offended. I'm not offended by it. I don't think you're offended by it, Adam. I don't think a whole lot of people were, like, legitimately up in arms about this. But the optics of it are not great, right? The dark side of the ring on the Chris Benoit tragedy would have aired maybe like a day, 2 days before this match was recorded, and you kind of hope for just a bit of intelligence there, right? It's not about going, oh no, I can't believe it. Although you're right. I mean, man, if you're upset by this, you have every right to be. It's more a matter of being smart and understanding that people might draw that line, because if you do that, you know, if you include that spot 2 days after a big documentary that everyone's talking about, you don't have the right to tell people to shut up about it because you made that choice.
Yeah, I don't think there was any desire by Edge and Orton to allude to what happened, the disaster with Chris and his family, of course. But I'm astonished that no one in WWE went, doesn't that look a bit like that?
Yeah.
You know, especially considering that the Dark Side of the Ring is literally just aired, as you said, a day or two before they recorded that match. I'm astonished that no one saw it. Although, you know, I've heard legends from the industry analysing WrestleMania, and in particular that match, because I wanted to hear more from them, because I was like, I thought it was crap, but some people really enjoyed it. And some of them had to have it pointed out to them, and then suddenly went, oh yeah, that does seem really bad. So, you know, maybe the argument is there that some people genuinely didn't realise, but I'm astonished at how many people must have taken a look at that in the process of editing it, and then, as you said, the higher-ups reviewing it, that no one stuck their hand up and said, oh, this looks dodgy.
Yeah, it's just bad optics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not good. Bad optics.
Right, let's give you the least surprising news of the day surrounding Money in the Bank. It's not going ahead at the Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. It may still go ahead. You know, WWE can continue with their empty arena bollocks that AEW seem determined to do as well. But it won't be going ahead. Ongoing global situation, etc. Because yesterday, as I said, the Royal Farms Arena in Maryland have cancelled any shows going forward as a result of what's going on. No real surprise there. We reported the AEW MGM Grand in Las Vegas cancelling their Double or Nothing show, and yesterday the news broke of UFC 249 being cancelled, despite the fact they were going to hold it on an island like Mortal Kombat, as Michael Sidgwick pointed out. The higher higher-ups at Disney came down on ESPN, who then put pressure on UFC to cancel the event. So no real surprises there.
Yeah, none whatsoever. I suspect we'll probably get it in the Performance Centre. Like, they seem desperate to go ahead with filming, despite state guidance saying stay the hell at home. Escapism's one thing, but starting to get to a point where if you're violating what the state is telling you to do based on expert advice, maybe think about staying at home, brothers.
I love Money in the Bank. It's up there. It might be, my top 3 favourite pay-per-views that WWE put on. I have no desire to watch it with no crowd there. I feel the crowd half the time makes it, and the grab of the briefcase is made all the better by something like that. And, same goes for Double or Nothing with AEW. And looking at like the figures for the Wednesday Night War, for example, I know NXT just beat AEW, but they both did a lot worse than they have been. Well, NXT is kind of around the same as what they do, but overall, the trending of viewing of all wrestling on TV is trending downwards. I just feel like they're fighting a losing battle and they kind of need to give up.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way myself as well. Escapism's great, it's wonderful, but man, there's like 4,000 years of history on the WWE network, right? We can do that instead.
I watched Ciampa Gargano at New Orleans the other night, and that was plenty escapism for me.
There you go, man. That's all you need. Shall we speed round these last few stories? So let's talk about AJ Styles and The Undertaker. AJ is interested in a big rematch. It may not be in the Boneyard, though. He said the following on his Mixer channel earlier this week. I hope we're able to do it again. Being in a ring with thousands of people watching around you, that would be something. And I hope that once this thing's over, let's just say there's a chance at SummerSlam, August I believe, we're able to get out there and do what we want. So he wants another Undertaker match. He loved the first one. He wants to do it in front of a live crowd, a more conventional match. Good stuff. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to see after the trip through the Boneyard.
No, leave it where it is. It was perfect. Do not change it. Also, what's a Mixer channel? What is TikTok? You and I are so old, Andy Murray.
Hentai, mate.
Right. Do you want to know the real reason many of WWE's top stars were missing from TV ahead of WrestleMania 36? Can you guess? Yep, ongoing global situation. That's why the likes of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, who came back from a British tour early, weren't on TV heading towards WrestleMania, quarantine, what have you. Same applies to Bobby Lashley, who was on a tour in South Africa, and Kairi Sane, who wasn't on a tour, got married. Congratulations, Kairi. Ongoing global situation. Blame it for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Anything goes wrong, you didn't like that angle. Situation. You didn't like that match. Situation. You don't like the story I'm about to tell you. Situation. So, Hulk Hogan almost appeared at WrestleMania 36. Lol.
What?
This is weird. This is from the Wrestling Observer. It says that WWE very much wanted the Hulkster to show up and cut a promo, not an in-ring segment, not a match. They wanted him to come over and cut a promo, maybe part of the NWO induction, but they couldn't reach a financial agreement. The deal that was offered didn't work for Hulk, brother, and he big-legged the whole thing. So, interesting here. Hulk lives in Clearwater, Florida, I believe, which is very close to Tampa. An hour and a half, 2-hour drive to the Performance Centre, something like that, maybe a bit more. Don't know how viable that would have been, given that the fella is 66 years old after all, in a higher age bracket. But, we were both in the room at WrestleMania 35. He got the weirdest reception of all time at that show, and, doing an empty Performance Centre, at least no one would be able to boo him, I guess.
Yeah. Still gets booed somehow by the commentators.
Yeah.
WWE and Hulk Hogan can't reach a agreement on money. Pretends to be shocked.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hulk Hogan, that leads us nicely into our Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, you want to get in touch with us. Mark Gallagher gives us our first question of the day, who says, "Is creative control?" Hogan, a good or bad thing for talent to have? You've pined for it after AEW's success, but Goldberg's recent flex and an entire precedent with WCW proves to the contrary. Should wrestlers have creative control, like you have said before?
It's balanced, isn't it? It's situational, depending on the wrestler, their mind, their position in the company. I think a good example of creative control going wrong, actually, is maybe the first few months of AEW Dynamite, where we saw all kinds of wacky stuff that we just didn't really expect from the product and weren't promised from the product, leading to the stories of Tony Khan taking more control from the EVPs with regards to creative, and I think most people would agree that in January and February, AEW TV was much improved from December and November. You know, you got some brilliant creative minds in there. You can't have a guy like Chris Jericho and just tell him what to do and hand him a script, for example, right? But Chris Jericho is one of the smartest guys in the business. Whether you gave that to, like, say, someone who's, I don't know, I'm not going to give an example because it'd be disrespectful, but someone who's like 2 years deep in the business might not have such a good idea of what's going to work. Or the Goldberg situation, you know, someone who maybe people see as having a bit of an ego isn't going to do business necessarily either. So it entirely depends on this is a great question, by the way. It entirely depends on the person involved. But, you know, we've got lots of examples of it working and lots of examples of it not working. And the examples of it not working come from a certain type of wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. Ego is the main thing here. I think everything in moderation, and arguably, like you said, I think some parts of Creative Control sort of worked against AEW.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega insisting that he kept losing and, you know, didn't look like the best bout machine, arguably harmed his reputation for casual wrestling fans.
That comedy match this week as well, man. Like, I can only assume that it came from Kenny himself and Michael Nakazawa, and no.
Second question today comes from Path Sattermain, who says, not considering the current situation, points for you there, Path, have we reached a point in wrestling where a match above 25 minutes not taking place in the Tokyo Dome, according to Meltzer, is hated by the majority regardless of the story it tells?
I don't think so. The Young Bucks and Kenny and Hangman went 30 minutes at Revolution, and that was almost universally praised, regardless of... It wasn't the best tag team match of all time, right? Like some people said, but it was tremendous, and I think that most people would agree with that. So I don't necessarily think so. 30 minutes is too long for some matches. 5 minutes is too long for some matches. 30 minutes is too short for some matches. Again, like Mark's tremendous question there, this is another really good one. It's all situational, baby. Depends on the story they're trying to tell, the crowd, so forth, things coming into it. There is a point to be made about the 21st century and shortening attention spans. I cannot sit still for 15 minutes without picking up my phone sometimes. So there is something in that, man. But for the most part, I think if you've got the right story and the right action, you can do it.
Exactly. You need the right performers and the right justification for it all. Not many people liked it. I loved Ciampa versus Gargano on NXT this week. I think it merited the time. And, you know, I didn't look at my watch once during it. Although I wasn't watching it with adverts, I saw it with the adverts cut out. It was like 36 minutes. It was less time than Edge versus Randy Orton. We had a big argument on the Wednesday Night War podcast of whether or not it was longer or not than Edge versus Orton. Because I said, well, technically it was 36 minutes, like pretty much bang on. And they said, well, it was, you know, nearly an hour with adverts. And I was like, yeah, but Edge and Randy Orton didn't have adverts. It's an argument that will go on and on. I said, my favourite part of it all was, I said, well, if Edge versus Randy Orton had adverts, it would have been longer than this match, which had adverts. And Sidgwick responded, well, if my auntie had bollocks, she'd be my uncle. Which kind of shut me up, to be honest. Fair play. You just got to take the L sometimes. Final question today comes from Electric Boogawooloo, who says, long-time news video watcher, very infrequent inquisitor, what current or past rivalry do each of you feel could have used the cinematic treatment?
Oh, brother. There's quite a few, but you want your bigger, wackier characters in these things, right? Or at least one, because AJ Styles ain't wacky. Kane versus The Undertaker? I know it's kind of like a stock answer, right? But you've got all the hellfire and brimstone and the burned your family alive and he's coming back for revenge, brother. I know, like, Kane debuted like 23 years ago or whatever, man, but like, it seems perfect, doesn't it? It seems awesome.
I agree with that. I was trying to think of like a really creative, like good character stuff, and then I just thought, just creative, you know, the cinematic stuff makes boring stuff interesting, or stuff that could be terrible interesting. So almost any Triple H match for the last sort of few years, I'm going to settle on Triple H versus Batista because they're both actors.
Yeah, and Batista could play Drax, and Triple H could play Mad Max, and it...
Triple H could play that guy out of Blade Trinity who loves his dogs.
Get in.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and an important announcement from one of WhatCulture's favourite wrestlers, Shelton Benjamin. You see this tweet, Andy?
I did.
He said, "Dear parents of the world, in light of our ongoing battle with, and I'll just say the ongoing global situation, please take time to do more activities with your kids that lure them away from video games." The These brats are destroying me and killing all my online gaming stats. I'm reminded of the meme. They had us in the first half, not going to lie. I thought that was going to go one way, went a very different way.
Yeah, it did, man. Love Shelton. That tweet sounds suspiciously like it came from certain members of the WhatCulture office who shall remain anonymous.
Indeed. Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Myself and Andy will be previewing SmackDown a little bit later on today. Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, you can follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray
at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for...
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. Have a great Good Friday.
Hell yeah, get an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Can you eat it all in one sitting? You shouldn't. Right, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching. Goodbye from the Firefly Funhouse, and we will see you soon.